I was going to have a break from podcasting over the summer season. And then I had this idea about creating a whole little mini series, a summer mini series. And so I have been so inspired by this thought that I've just pre-recorded 8 very short, absolutely no bullshit, incredibly loving mini podcast episodes. I don't want you just to listen to them. I want you to listen to them and then practice it. So I really want to invite you to take this summer to listen to this bite-sized short episode and apply what I'm teaching in it. And then just get fascinated at what shift that creates in your life over this 8 weeks. I hope you enjoyed this episode and I will see you when I'm back in September. For my final summer mini series, I want to invite you to plan ahead. When you plan ahead, when you make a decision about the future, at least 24 hours ahead of time, you're using the prefrontal cortex part of your brain. This is your higher brain. This is your inner wisdom. It's what makes you you. And it is your expert. And it will always give you the best advice. But because most of us are listening to our primal brain that doesn't give a shit about external consequences, it doesn't give a shit about eating too much alcohol. It doesn't anything for 5 minutes from now. It doesn't give a shit about. So it doesn't give you the best advice, which is why we overeat, overdrink, scroll, all the things. Say no, not willing to say no. All the things I spoke about in the mini series. But when you plan ahead of time, you're using your higher brain, your higher wisdom, and it gives you the best advice. And you can apply this in every single area of your life. You can decide how you're going to respond to somebody ahead of time and practice that ahead of time. You can decide how much you're going to have to drink on Friday night and then practice stopping ahead of time. It's called mental rehearsal. Just trying to think of the book that covers it. I think Dr. Carol Dweck in Mindset covers that quite a lot, that mental rehearsal ahead of time. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it. So it's really about thinking ahead of time and planning ahead of time. And there's even research to prove this. There's a piano study where they had 3 groups of people. One group actually physically practiced the piano. One group visualized practicing the piano, and then another group did nothing. And the people that actively practiced the piano progressed, I can't remember the exact figures, but maybe they progressed 50%. The people that did nothing obviously progressed nowhere. But what's incredible is the people that just in their imagination practice imagining the keys, imagining the music, they progressed like 40%. It was a really significant progression compared to the people that actively practice. So this is the power of your mind. This is the power of planning ahead of time and then practicing that ahead of time. You can plan your time. You can plan your food. You can plan what you're going to do at the weekend. You can plan in your free time. In fact, especially when it comes to time management, that is the first thing I would always plan in is your free time. You can plan how you're going to start talking to yourself. You can plan ahead of time what time you're going to go to bed, what time you're going to get up, and then thinking, right, okay, this is one of my biggest obstacles, right? What is my brain going to tell me when I want to start getting up a bit early? And practice having that conversation inside. What do I want to say to someone when they ask me something that I don't want to do? How do I want to say no? And have that response ahead of time. This is really powerful if you consider your brain to be a bit slow at responding. I have that thought about mine. My brain doesn't come up with quick responses, but give it time. It always does come up with a response. It just might not be in the immediate moment. So I practice ahead of time, right? Okay, when this scenario happens, what am I going to say and how am I going to say it? If this scenario happens, what am I going to say and how am I going to say it? So, planning ahead of time. Tomorrow evening, how do I want to spend my evening? Well, I want to spend half an hour on Instagram. I want to spend half an hour watching Netflix. I want to spend half an hour reading. I want to spend half an hour playing with my kids. Like whatever it is that you want to do, when you engage your prefrontal cortex and you plan ahead of time, and it needs to be at least 24 hours ahead of time, it's going to give you always the best advice, and it cares about you. That part of your brain really cares about you, actually enhancing who you are, rather than your primitive brain that just wants instant gratification like a child and doesn't care about the weight gain or the hangover or the exhaustion of saying yes to everything. So, to wrap up the summer series, that kind of encompasses everything. When you start to plan ahead, you can plan ahead how to say no. You can plan ahead how you're going to respond to yourself if you don't get an outcome. You can plan ahead about decisions and when you're going to make that decision. You can plan when you're going to scroll and not scroll. You can plan to catch yourself when you start taking on other people's emotions. You can plan ahead of time your I am statements. So, planning ahead, using your higher brain, your higher wisdom is your superpower. I hope you've enjoyed these series. I'll be back next week with my normal podcast episodes. In fact, I've got something really exciting coming up, but I'll tell you about that once they're planned in a couple of weeks. Have an amazing week. Take care. Bye.